At exactly 5:38 a.m., 3 Iranian Navy frigates emerged from the coastal fog bank west of Bandar Abbas and positioned themselves in a deliberate line across the center of the Strait of Hormuz. Not patrolling, not transiting, stopped. Engines at idle, broadside to the shipping lane, forming a wall of steel 400 meters wide directly across the projected course of the USS Gerald R. Ford. The message was unmistakable. The strait is 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. International law guarantees right of transit passage. The Iranians had just placed 3 warships across that guarantee and dared America to do something about it. They had rehearsed this for months. They believed a show of unified naval force would create a diplomatic incident, slow the Ford's passage, force a course deviation that cameras could record and governments could spin. They believed the mere presence of their frigates would be enough to make a $13 billion carrier blink. They had spent months planning the wrong response to the wrong ship. The USS Gerald R. Ford is not a vessel that blinks. She is the most advanced aircraft carrier ever constructed, the lead ship of her class, the culmination of 70 years of American carrier aviation distilled into a single floating weapons platform. Her twin A-1AB nuclear reactors generate 600 megawatts of power. Her electromagnetic launch system can cycle aircraft off her bow faster than any steam catapult in history. Her Spy-6 radar, the most capable ever installed on a warship, can track over 1,000 simultaneous targets across a bubble of airspace bigger than most countries. 3 Iranian frigates sitting dead in the water were not a problem. They were barely a data point. The Ford's Combat Direction Center had been watching those frigates since they left port. The Spy-6 doesn't sleep, it doesn't shift focus, it doesn't get distracted. While the Iranian crews were eating breakfast and preparing for their operation, the Ford's radar had already built complete track files on every vessel involved, their speeds, their headings, their weapons configurations, and the precise moment their engines throttled back to idle in the center of the strait. The element of surprise, if there ever was one, existed entirely in Iranian imagination. 5:43 a.m. The Ford's commanding officer convened a rapid assessment in the Combat Direction Center. Dim blue light, quiet voices, no panic, no drama, just professionals evaluating a tactical picture with the calm of people who had trained for exactly this. The Iranian frigates were confirmed as Mauj class, Iranian-built, domestically designed, armed with surface-to-surface missiles and deck guns. Capable ships by regional standards, significantly outclassed by what was sailing toward them. The assessment took 4 minutes. The decision took less than 1. Hold course, increase speed to 22 knots, launch the alert fighters. 5:49 a.m. 2 FA-18F Super Hornets came off the Ford's bow in rapid succession, climbing hard into the gray morning sky above the strait. Their call signs were Hammer 1 and Hammer 2. Their mission was air superiority coverage and surface observation. They reached altitude and turned south, their APG-79 radar sweeping the Iranian coastline for any additional assets being vectored into the encounter. Airfields, additional naval units, missile batteries that might have quietly repositioned overnight. They found several things worth noting. All of it went directly into the intelligence record. On the surface, the destroyers USS Ramage and USS McFall moved into close escort formation, flanking the carrier. Their SPY-1D radar systems were already active, building individual track files on each Iranian frigate. Electronic warfare suites recorded every frequency, every radar emission, every encrypted communication passing between the Iranian ships and their shore command. The Iranians were talking a great deal. The Americans were listening to every word, even if they couldn't yet decode the content. Signals intelligence doesn't need translation to be valuable. Volume, frequency, timing, all of it tells a story. The Ford continued northeast at 22 knots. The Iranian frigates remained stationary. Mathematics was already solving this problem. 5:58 a.m. Hammer 1 descended to 3,000 feet and made a direct overflight of the Iranian formation at 400 knots, low enough to make a point, fast enough to make it clearly. The sonic wake rolled across all 3 frigates in sequence. On the lead Iranian bridge, the commanding officer watched an American Super Hornet cross his bow close enough to count the weapons on its pylons. 2 AIM-120 AMRAAMs, 2 AIM-9X Sidewinders, 2 AGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles dialed into active seeker mode. The pilot wasn't threatening, he was informing. Hammer 1 climbed away without a word on the guard frequency. 6:04 a.m., the Ford's electronic warfare suite shifted from passive collection to active emissions. This was deliberate and precisely calibrated, not jamming, not targeting, just the Ford announcing, in the language navies have spoken for a century, that her systems were fully operational, fully focused, and fully capable of doing considerably more than they were currently doing. The SPQ-9B fire control radar swept across the Iranian formation with a specificity that every Iranian electronics operator aboard those frigates would have recognized immediately. That particular radar emission has a single purpose. It is the last signal a ship's crew hears before a gun system opens fire. Nobody fired. That was the point. The Ford was demonstrating restraint she didn't have to demonstrate, which made the demonstration itself a form of overwhelming force.
6:09 a.m. The lead Iranian frigate's engines came back to life. A long pause, then the second, then the third. The formation that had positioned itself as an immovable barrier began moving slowly with visible reluctance, breaking right and left to open a corridor directly down the center of the strait. The wall dissolved. 3 warships that had spent the night becoming an international incident spent the next 4 minutes becoming irrelevant. The Ford sailed through the gap without adjusting course by a single degree. The hammer flight provided overhead coverage until the Iranian ships were 5 nautical miles astern, then climbed back to altitude and returned to the pattern. 6:31 a.m. Normal flight operations resumed aboard the Ford. Scheduled training sorties, routine maintenance cycles. The crew was served breakfast at the usual hour. The incident was logged with the same bureaucratic precision applied to every other tactical event. Contact time, duration, vessels involved, electronic intelligence collected, outcome. Outcome, no course deviation, no speed reduction. Transit completed as scheduled. The intelligence collected was extensive. The Mouge-class frigates had operated their fire control systems intermittently throughout the encounter, apparently hoping to generate some usable electronic intelligence of their own. They succeeded in the sense that they revealed the precise operational parameters of every sensor aboard their ships. The Ford's electronic warfare teams cataloged all of it. Iranian naval radar frequencies, communication protocols, command and control response times, and the specific moment that commanding officers decided holding position was no longer worth the consequence. That last data point, the psychological threshold, is often the most valuable of all. Iranian state television broadcast a carefully edited version of events that evening. Brave Revolutionary Navy forces had confronted American aggression and demonstrated the Islamic Republic's resolve to defend its strategic interests. The footage was real. The narration was creative. The Ford's decklogs documented a transit that had not varied from its planned route by a single nautical mile. Both accounts exist. Only one of them matches the GPS data. This is the arithmetic of gray zone confrontation. Iran spent 3 frigates, full crew deployments, and a night of operational planning to stop a carrier that weighed 100,000 tons and didn't slow down. They handed over a complete electronic profile of their naval sensor capabilities in exchange for footage that their own population would eventually learn to discount. The Ford didn't answer with missiles, she answered with momentum. 100,000 tons of it moving at 22 knots through waters Iran considers its own at a time of America's choosing without permission asked and without permission required. Some messages are written in ink. This one was written in a wake. 3 miles long, perfectly straight, aimed directly through the center of whatever Iran thought it was defending. They blocked a carrier with warships. The carrier used them as a photo opportunity and kept sailing. That is not a military outcome. That is a lesson in the difference between having a navy and having naval power. Iran has ships. The Ford is something else entirely. The strait was open by breakfast. The debrief ran till noon. Some doors don't need to be forced. You just have to weigh enough to walk through them.